Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna elaborate a bit on the FEMS topic. The lack of legislation regulating the MOB industry puts many women at risk every year. And what we're trying to see here is what the European Union should do in order to protect women that are being brought into the territory of the European Union. Yeah. So a lot of people probably wonder what MOB stands for, and it stands for the mail order brides, who are women that list themselves in catalogs and are selected by a man for marriage. The majority of the women listed in the 20th century, the 21st century services are from Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, and to a lesser extent from Latin America. Why is it a problem? Firstly, mail order brides often become victims of human trafficking, which is, of course, bad. Domestic abuse endured by mail order brides is often left unreported, which is also something that everyone should consider when talking about that problem. Lack of legal regulation and protection of mail order brides often blurs their legal status and makes it harder for them to seek help. So basically, they often have some kind of marriage visas, which they feel do not give them the ability to seek help in the at the necessary from the necessary services, and unfortunately, that is in most cases not true. But it is clear that the clarification of their status is absolutely necessary. And of course, there is this problem of the negative portrayal of the international marriage agencies, which is why a lot of husbands that seek their help are often feeling that it is some kind of shady activity and that which allows them to act not in the appropriate way towards their brides or fiancés or whomever. So yeah. So I'm just gonna talk a bit about the key actors now. So the first and the major key actor is the national government, because it is up to the national government to decide on the legislation. And thus, it is crucial that national governments should be called upon to make a real difference in terms of creating a roadmap for improving the status of mail order brides. Of course, there's the European Commission, which has some power to implement legislation upon the member states of the European Union, but of course, the extent of power of the European Commission is much smaller than the one of the national governments. Then we have the Council of Europe, which is basically which aims to protect the human rights. And of course, since gender equality and absence of discrimination is one of the human rights, it is up to the Council of Europe to protect that right. Then there's also the Employment, Social Policy, Health and Consumer Affairs Council, which aims to protect women's rights as well. And it would be definitely helpful to look into their activities and see what they have done in order to promote gender equality. Then there is also European Women's Lobby, which is basically the largest women's rights organization in the European Union. And of course, as an NGO, they have their own resources and their own ways to contribute to the process of the acquiring of the gender equality in the EU countries. There are a few measures that are already in place. The first one is the recommendation of the Committee of Ministers, which is basically a document that was signed in 2002 and which calls upon the national governments to promote gender equality and to abstain from discrimination against against women. There's also the Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which guarantees the freedom of movement to every EU, to everyone, to every citizen of the country that has signed the paper. And of course, if a male or the bride moves to the country that signed this convention, her husband has no right to limit her movement, to engage her into human trafficking in any way, because that breaks the law. There's also the Istanbul Convention, which is basically the first document that legally says that women's rights should be protected, and that it is the aim of the international community to provide gender equality for the women, regardless of where they come from. And basically, yeah. So the Istanbul Convention, it elaborates a lot about the mail order bride case. So it would be really helpful if you guys looked into it and actually see and actually to take a look at the way that the creators of that convention look at the problem. Okay, and I guess that's pretty much it.